Locked on target.
Hi crew, welcome to this week's edition of Hot Chocolate Chronicles, and man has it been a crazy week, and you know what week it is if you follow any of the gaming news. It is E3 week, but I will be talking about E3 for pretty much the duration of this Hot Chocolate Chronicles, so let's just take a drink and let's get started. That is some good stuff. That is actually some of the best hot chocolate I've ever had in my life. That is hot chocolate from a K-cup, and or not a K-cup, but it's basically a K-cup, in a Keurig machine, but it's not a Keurig, it's a Black & Decker, but it's like Black & Decker's version of a Keurig machine. That is knockoff Keurig hot chocolate, and it is really, really fantastic. Much like this year's E3. Wow, bam, look at that transition. It's almost like I should do the podcast again. But anyways, instead of talking about the press conferences and what I thought about the press conferences like every other YouTuber out there, I just want to focus on the games, because I'll be honest, I was happy with every press conference that I watched, and, I don't think anyone really won E3 besides the gamers this year. We won E3 because we have a heck ton of games to talk about, and not all of them are sequels. Some of them are actually unique games. Like, if you haven't heard of a little game called Absolver, Solver, and I suggest you look this game up because it looks fascinating. It's kind of a fighting game, and it's not, and you get a very wrong sense of the word fighting game when I say that, but it's like a pugilist game, kind of in the vein of, actually, we haven't really seen a game like this, tell you the truth. I can't even tell you that when I've seen a game like this. And what this is so unique about this is you've seen things for like For Honor, okay, where you have like the parry system and you have like 4 quadrants of attack and things like that. Well, that's this system on crack, okay? Like, it is seriously way beyond anything combat level that I've seen any system do. You have jukes, parries, feints, everything like that, high attacks, low attacks, but it's all done in a 3D action RPG environment, and the level of customization I have seen is I have not seen this. Just look up gameplay. It's not going to make much sense or look that in depth when you look at it, but keep in mind, each combo you have, you can actually customize each actual hit in the combo to, say, if you want to do like a haymaker at the end of to finish your combo, you can switch it out with like 8 different moves. And then there's like weapon combat in the middle of it. The NPCs in the game that you'll meet just around act kind of like player characters. Like, the devs have said we want them to be on par with player characters to be developed. Whether that's to be seen or not, we don't know. But there is going to be no distinction if you meet a player character or an AI character. Granted, you can play with your friends. There's friendly fire on at all times. But you go through the world and you have no difference. And some NPCs will be like peaceful. Other NPCs will not be, obviously. And what's amazing about this game is its combat system, which I've already kind of described in depth, but you really have to see it in person, because it's very much a rock, paper, scissors style of combat, but you can really customize your character and really switch up things, because you have 4 combos that you can alternate between and 3 stances. That means each character you come across can literally be hitting you with 12 different types of combos, along with feints, blocks, everything like that. And you have to kind of counter them with these 12 combos. Plus, as I mentioned, there's weapons like swords and things like that you can just pull out when you get the low health or anything like that. You can actually switch up your attack style that way, which is ridiculous. And this is a combo-based game. again, that's just one of the things that I found most interesting at E3. But I have to move on because there are lots of games I want to talk about, and I don't want this video to go on for like 40 minutes. So that's Absolver. I very much encourage you to check that game out. I watched the first game of Gwent, and I have not played Gwent in Witcher 3 because I have not played Witcher 3 yet, even though it's in my backlog. Now I'm going to play Witcher 3 just so I can get to the sections where I play Gwent until the game of Gwent comes out. I very much enjoyed watching that. I very much still like Hearthstone, but man, do I see the things in Gwent that I love to see in a card game, and that's what I actually am looking forward to probably the most this year, is getting to play Gwent on an expanded, polished, and developed role by CD Projekt Red. And I just thank you so much for actually taking the time to develop that into a more expansive game. Let's take another sip before I get to the next thing. And again, this isn't all that I liked about E3. These are just the standout games that I'm like, gonna play. Horizon Zero Dawn looked interesting, but for some reason I'm looking forward more to Scalebound. I don't know, it's just me, but I just like the sense of Scalebound. I like the scale of Scalebound. I know that doesn't make much sense, but when we saw the fighting this literally ginormous crab creature that I've never seen a fight of that scale be fun, but that actually looked fun to battle this giant crab, and I'm sure there's other like raid bosses. But between this and the gameplay trailer from last E3, Scalebound is probably going to be one of my favorite games this year. Horizon probably is going to rank up there, but something tells me it's going to be just like how I personally like Battleborn over Overwatch. But I know that's probably going to receive a lot of hate, but that's just me in my taste in games. I'm going to probably like Scalebound. Not to say I'm not going to like Horizon. I'm going to like Horizon probably, but I'll probably like Scalebound more. Halo Wars 2 I'm excited for because I actually really liked Halo Wars 1 back on the 360, and now I'm going to be able to play it on PC, which is 10 times better for RTSs, and I'm super excited about that. There's a new Saints Row game, but it's not called Saints Row. It's by the same developers inside of the same universe, but not with the Saints Row characters per se. I think it's called Agents of Mayhem. Was not shown on any of the press conferences, but it looked really, really good because it's basically a hero shooter. You go into the missions and you start off as a hero shooter, but Saints Row, one of the things I've always loved about the Saints Row series is the dialogue. It's just hilarious. It's 100% true in this game. Now, every hero, quote unquote, has their own set of abilities and weapons, and they all interplay their dialogue with their other squad members. The other squad members are not present with you when you fight, but you can switch to them on the fly. Like instantaneously, you could be wielding a bow and it will focus more on poison attacks. You switch to like this big burly African American man with a shotgun, and then like switch over to like a guy that was kind of modeled in my mind after like Soldier 76 with like the auto rifle and that type of thing. All on the fly, and they all react to the combat in a certain way. And what excites me is there's a lot more people that you can bring in, but from what I could see from the E3 demo, you could only bring 3 heroes in, but you could, there was a lot more crew to pick, if you will. And each of the missions will have different dialogue between the members of the crew that you bring in. Depending on who you bring in and on what mission you're doing. Some crew members like each other, some members don't, that type of thing. And I can't wait to see that, because if it's one thing that the Saints Row developers do well, it is character. Okay, and that is going to be an awesome game. I think that's called Agents of Mayhem, but I'm not sure on the title. The other things I really liked, other than like the obvious sequels like Dishonored 2, was there. I feel like, well, okay, I'll just talk about Dishonored 2 a little bit because honestly, like that's one of the games I want to like, but it looks really slow. I did not expect there to be a Resident Evil 7 per se. I'm not so sure how I like the Resident Evil being a VR experience, but I've heard nothing but good things from people I trust. Other YouTubers and other people I follow on Twitter have said that it is a fantastic VR experience. Uh, Honestly, I am less excited for Final Fantasy 15 now seeing the E3 demo during the Microsoft press conference where like the giant was just like doing like basic attacks, very predictable, and the guy was whoever was demonstrating was obviously having trouble like fighting the giant and dodging these huge choreographed attacks. And I know like there's different skill levels for different people, but it just looked like a very lame boss fight. Um, to me, okay, like it just didn't seem very challenging, nor did it seem very fun. And I've faced larger than life battles like here's another thing I'm going to talk about: God of War. On God of War, I'm used to taking on bigger things that necessarily have great attack patterns and predictable, but are still quick, agile, and generally fun to fight. Like the Kraken fight that starts off. I think God of War 1. Is it God of War 1 or 2? I can't remember which one is the Kraken. But basically, like that's a great example of just a fun fight for a larger than life enemy that gets you kind of engaged in the game. This did not look fun to me. But you know what did look awesome? God of War. And I did not expect to see another God of War come out of E3 this year, and I'm excited for that. I was surprised that we didn't hear anything from Kingdom Hearts, seeing as last year there was that big name drop. Uh, Death Stranding, the Kojima title, looks like a Kojima title, and I know we won't see that till like 2019 or 2020. So I'm not too excited about that yet because Kojima titles take forever to develop, and for good reason. They always push the hardware to their maxes, and just like MGS5 did, it defines boundaries and defines gaming for a little while. And it still is MGS's 5 influence is very much seen in Rainbow Six Siege, or not Siege, Ghost Recon. The Ghost Recon Wildlands game, it looked like, it actually looked like MGS 5, but in multiplayer and less complex. And that's what the reviewers and the people that have played it, from what I've heard, have said. And so, like the look, it looks exactly like I would think. It's just not. I don't think that's going to be a game I'm really looking forward to. So I won't talk about it too much. But basically, that's what happens when you make a game like MGS5. Is people want to imitate and sometimes do a lesser product. So that being said, I will say. MGS5 was good, but I do not want anything like MGS5 for a while because I'm just done with MGS5's gameplay, if that makes sense. Now, one of the things I really, really, really want to talk about is Legend of the Zelda, but I'll save that till last. Let's talk about Nintendo's what Nintendo brought to the offer. There was a game that should have had an E3 proper press entrance, and that's called Ever Oasis. Okay, this is a new IP from Nintendo. Actually, I think I don't know who did it, but again, it is everything I liked about Rune Factory in the sense that you go and explore dungeons, you build your city, you do lots of things around. You basically build this oasis, and you go into dungeons. You gather materials. There's crafting. There's like shop mechanics. it's like Animal Crossing mixed with Rune Factory. Okay, that's the feel I get from this game, and like you have to go and recruit squad members from like different classes and different weapon types, and the different weapons and species that you can collect and put on your team, and all do different things inside of the dungeon. So, like a person with a spear will be able to like prop up, um, like ruins on the ground to create like a stairway, so you or a ramp where you can walk up. Whereas that type of thing. So you need to equip certain people to do certain things inside of the dungeons, and sometimes you have to go down multiple times and delve in these dungeons multiple times. That looked like a really good game. Probably going to be the reason why I pick up my 3DS again. Now, I'm just trying to think. There's another game I want to talk about before Legend of Zelda, but you know what? Too bad. Legend of Zelda is where it's going to be at probably for the rest of this. And there are more games that oh, yeah. There is another game I want to mention before I talk about Legend of Zelda, and that is Recore. Oh my gosh. Okay, so I've been waiting for a Mega Man game for a very, very, very long time. And I'm not talking like Mighty Number 9, okay? I'm talking a true reinterpretation of Mega Man style gameplay in the modern age. And Recore has it, okay? Recore is very much a mix of Ikaruga, Mega Man, and Metroid Prime. Those three games combined into one, and you have Recore. And I am so pumped. Recore is probably going to be my favorite game this year. Maybe. There's a lot of favorite games this year, in case you haven't caught on, because, Legend of Zelda is like 2017, but Recore is going to be this year. Scalebound is going to be this year. Halo Wars 2 is going to be this year. It's going to be a good year. Now I can talk about Legend of Zelda without any abandon, because I think that's all I had written down. I don't usually write things down, but I had a lot of games to talk about today. Now, Legend of Zelda. My impressions are, I want this game, and I want it right now. What they showed of the gameplay, I don't even want to try to describe to you, because it's just an experience you have to see for yourself. It's open world, but done in a way that I really like. I really like that rupees aren't there. I really like you can't cut grass to get hearts or anything like that. You have to like scavenge in the wilderness, cook your food. Like there's different equipable armor for Link, and the world just seems fascinating to me. And if I have to look at it from a fan's perspective, this looks very much like the world described in Wind Waker, where it's before the world flooded, but like Hyrule was in like this post-apocalyptic setting, and that's what I think has happened here. Is the Hyrule has degraded over time, and we won't see Hyrule proper. And like Link wakes up from the stasis pod thing, and I just think this is a fascinating setup, where there's a lot of wild lands everywhere, but there's also technological senses and like mystical looking technology. Not like Horizon, where it's like future dinosaurs. I mean, like you get a sense of mystery, almost like Twilight Princess level mystery, and like this alien tech. But from what it looks like, it's ancient Hyrulean tech, which is fascinating to me. And I look forward to seeing the story in that world. And I just got to say, I'm really digging the new system where you go into shrines to unlock Sheikah Slate abilities, which kind of sounds like a lame name. Trust me, it is. But like that allows you to interact with the world in different ways. I loved everything I saw. How amazingly interactable, is that even a word? That world was. and I'm excited about pretty much everything about that game. It looks phenomenal. I'm not excited about durability though. I get why it's there, where each weapon has like 4 or 5 strikes. If it's like wooden, that makes sense. But I kind of don't like managing my inventory and switching in weapons every like 5 seconds. That gets it really annoying, and I think that's going to be my primary complaint about the game. But other than that, this has been a phenomenal E3 year. I know I've missed games I've wanted to talk about, but I will not hold you to here any longer. Please, if there's anything I missed that you liked, please leave it down in the comments, and let's have a discussion down there. I'm just glad I could share my thoughts about E3 with you. So, I will be back this week with probably a Cali's Trials review, and I did receive a review key for Hard Reset Redux. So hopefully I can get into playing that now that I finished Cali's Trials, and I'm planning on doing that. I also need to record that Battleborn tips video that I've been talking about. But yeah, I've got lots of things to record, so lots of things coming to the channel. So until we meet again, stay on target, and let's just finish with a sip. Oh man, that is good. I just want to say, buy a Keurig machine just for this hot chocolate. Even though it's like $1 a pop or whatever, it's worth it. It's honestly one of the best drinks I've ever had in my life. So let's try not to overheat, and until we meet again, stay on target.